Well, speaking of quarterbacks, that team that you cover on a pretty weekly basis has some quarterback issues. I heard their starter's been hurt lately. How good is he in terms of health?
Yeah, well, he's got a shoulder strain right now, and, they keep saying there's no concern to that. They've kind of backed up the timeline on his return, just letting him sit, not throw for a bit, come back next week, see how it feels, see if it's ready to throw, but I have a little bit of concern simply because of the ankle, and the ankle is fine. The ankle is 100%. He said he buried any thoughts of the ankle injury at Cinco de Mayo when he went out and danced on the dance floor, and the ankle held up just fine, and he hasn't thought about it since. Oh, that's well and good, but we know there's one more hurdle to clear, and that's getting hit. That's being in game action. I mean, they baby you at practice. We know that. Wear the red jersey, which, by the way, until Mike McCarthy came in, Cowboys quarterback never wore a red jersey, green jersey, whatever. They wore the same jersey as the rest of the team. So first time in team history that they've ever worn that special jerseys. But that started last year. So he's wearing the red jersey like all the quarterbacks wear, and they can't touch him. And so he's got to take that hit. And you would prefer, I think, not that you want him to get hit a lot in the preseason, but I think you would prefer that he take off and run, whether it's a slide or whatever it is, but just to know that ankle is going to be okay and hold up. Getting over that first hit, getting over that first run outside the pocket in real game action is still to come for him. So my point is, I don't know that he's going to play in the preseason. He's not even making the trip to the Hall of Fame game, which we didn't expect him to play tomorrow night. But I don't know how much he's going to play in the next 3 preseason games. And I think having not played since week 5 of last year, you would like to see him play, and I don't know that that's going to happen. But otherwise, I think the shoulder's going to be fine once they get into season. However they manipulate it, but it's just a thing that needs some rest right now, and he'll come back and be okay for the season. But you need him out there, you know that, and this year certainly you don't have a backup behind him. And I know there's people clamoring, let's go get a backup. No, don't go get a back. You had Andy Dalton last year, you won 6 games. If Dak Prescott doesn't play this year, you're not going to have a very good team. Bottom line. That's it. It doesn't matter who you have for a backup. You can go trade for Nick Foles if you want. You're still not going to have a very good team if you don't have Dak Prescott in. You put all your money, all your resources, everything into Dak Prescott winning you a championship. If he's not on the field, then you don't have too much of a chance. Yes, you'll have a better chance if you have a better backup than with one of these guys that you have out there, whether it's Garrett Gilbert or Cooper Rush or whatever. But I just don't think you want to go spend that money on getting a veteran backup quarterback.
Sure, we talked about the A&M wide receivers and the playmakers that they have around them. Dak's got some as well. Talk a little bit about that wide receiver crew with Amari, CD, you got Michael Gallup. They do got a lot of playmakers.
I love Michael Gallup, and I just think he's so special. And after this year, whether it's the Cowboys perhaps moving on from Amari Cooper, which they can do contractually, they can move on from him, and re-signing Michael Gallup to a big deal, or whether they try to keep all 3 of them, or whether he goes somewhere else, he's going to get a huge contract, I think, next year. And I think he can be a number 1 receiver wherever he goes. But that's the thing about this receiving core. Amari Cooper's been a number 1. CeeDee Lamb can be a number 1, and Michael Gallup can be a number 1. So you have 3 number 1 receivers. So that just makes them very difficult to deal with from a defensive coordinator standpoint. And then you look at the tight end position. Dalton Schultz has looked terrific so far. And we know Blake Jarwin is coming back from that injury. And then you have Ezekiel Elliott, who's trimmed down. So this is going to be a very difficult offense to stop. Now, they haven't looked great at camp yet. They haven't looked great, but it's early. And I think at most points in camp right now, the defense is usually ahead of the offense. So I don't have any concerns that once they get out there that they're going to be really, really good and rack up a lot of yards and probably a lot of points and try to outscore teams. But the defense has got to be better, too, if they're ultimately going to get to where they want to go. I think the one thing you worry about, David, offensively, is obviously the offensive line and all those injuries, especially at left tackle. Tyron Smith, how is how is he going to hold up? Now he's already out of practice, and he's only 30 years old. But those injuries start piling up, and they don't get better as time goes on. So you do worry about him getting through now an extra game in the season. Don't forget there's 17 games. So is he going to be able to get through a 17-game season? And I don't know that he will be able to, but you hope he at least plays most of those games, if not all of those games.
Charean, we're up against the break, but quickly let me ask you about Deshaun Watson. Do you see a scenario where he does end up with the Eagles?
I think he will be traded at some point. When that is, I don't know, but I don't see him playing this year. I really think he'll end up on the commissioner exempt list, which is a paid suspension, and he'll play some time for somebody else next year.
Great stuff as always, Charean. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Charean Williams here on the BCSI Associates Hotline. When we do come back on the show, 21